Yeah. So welcome everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Ashutosh, and I'm working at ICCK. Today we are presenting our first chapter of webinar series. ICCK IIK Collaborative Business Forum presents Business Webinar Series: Startups Experience and Ecosystem in Korea, presented by TagHive Korea. Just a heads up about ICCK and IIK. Indian Chamber of Commerce was established on 2010, right on the heels of the signing of the landmark SEPA between India and Korea. ICCK helps to connect Korean and Indian businesses to explore mutually beneficial opportunities. In addition to business and trade, we also support Indian embassy in Korea and state governments in India. If you need any support on your businesses, please feel free to contact ICCK team anytime. We can be your best partner. About Indians in Korea, IIK's mission is to help Indian diaspora living in Korea by the mean of providing suggestions, information, integrated platforms like Facebook and Telegram to share views and ask for help, conduct few cultural events to bring the diaspora together, licensing and with the embassy to share the issues with the purpose to solve them and to build a good relationship with Indian embassy in Seoul. With ICCK and IIK, we are planning to hold several events in future like business forum or cultural events in the upcoming year. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Pankaj Agarwal, who is the speaker for today's webinar. Mr. Pankaj Agarwal is the founder and CEO at TagHive, founded in 2017, a Samsung funded education technology venture with operations in South Korea and in India. Also, he is the founder and chairman of the IIT Alumni Association of South Korea since 2015. He is also a board member of the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Korea. Regarding his company, TagHive is an education company having clicker-based smart school solutions and an AI-powered self-assessment solution. Our mission is to connect all four stakeholders of education: students, teachers, parents, and admins, and to create a complete feedback loop that enables better teaching and learning experience. Before starting with this webinar, I would like just to give a housekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type in the question box in your WebEx control panel. I'll bring them up at the end of the session, in the Q&A session. Now, without further delay, I would turn the time over to our speaker, Mr. Pankaj Agarwal, CEO TagHive, to listen his journey.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh. Namaste, 안녕하세요, 반갑습니다. It has been a great pleasure to be a part of ICCK, part of IIK, part of different communities in South Korea. I've been in South Korea for last 17 years and counting. I came here in 2004 as a student, or more specifically as an employee of Samsung Electronics. And now today I'm an employer to 16 people. So it has been a great journey for me, from becoming from an employee to an employer, from working on projects to working on business. And today what I'll do is I will share about myself a little bit, about my experience with a startup. There may be folks in the audience that want to. By the way, do you hear me well, Ashutosh?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So what I'll do is share about my journey. Startup life looks awesome on the outside, but trust me, it is very, very taxing. There's a lot of responsibility, a lot of pitfalls, a lot of landmines here and there that you need to be watchful of. I'll share some of those in the presentation today. And what I'll do is I have a presentation file that I prepared to just anchor my thoughts. And for the first 20 minutes or so, what we will do is I'll just share my presentation. And after that, I'll open the house for any questions. So that it's more collaborative, it's more interactive discussion. Please feel free to ask any question. You can ask me a question in Korean language, in Hindi, or in English, as you feel comfortable. On that note, let me share my presentation. 1 second, it takes a minute. Okay, we're here. Okay, do you see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Yes, we can see you. Your screen.
Great. Thank you so much. So this is a brief presentation. I chose the pictures. The view as a startup CEO is very always amazing. You want to see as far as possible, but you're always alone, right? Alone in the sense that you are the leader and you have to take decisions. You have to move forward with confidence, right? I'll talk about myself a little bit on the personal side. I'm married since 2005. I have 2 kids, and my interests, and it used to be interests, no more, because I don't have time for all these now anymore. Once in a while, of course, I read a book. I used to love investing, and now I'm investing in my own company, all my time, all my energy. And I'm also a professional magician. I've performed in Korea as well. On the professional side, my journey started with Samsung Electronics. I've been an employee of Samsung for close to 10 years, over 10 years actually, in different capacities as an engineer, as a manager in the strategy team. And in 2017, my work at Samsung got spun off to a new company called TagHive, and Samsung Ventures is our investor. On the education side, I did my undergrad at IIT Kanpur 2004, and master's MBA at Harvard Business School. Now, TagHive, what exactly is TagHive? I'll give you a few slides on TagHive so that you know what I'm doing, what the company is about. I'll not read all of this. A couple of highlights here is Samsung Ventures is the investor. We have 16 people. We're always looking for more people. So in the audience, if you have folks who want to join TagHive, we are going to build technology for us, lead products for us. We are working in the Korean market and in the Indian market. So feel free to reach out to me. My email address is pankaj@taghive.com, tag-hive.com. We are also incorporated in India. We have Korea is our HQ headquarters, and we have an Indian office. So in fact, I'm running both the offices in parallel. And the time difference is luckily just 3.5 hours. Otherwise, if it was a 12 hours difference, I would be awake the entire time. So it's a great experience, but at the same time, very, very taxing to manage both the countries. And we are a technology company. We have filed a lot of IPs, and many of which are registered. And we have received a couple of recognitions from the in Korea, and we also have a team in India, which is all remote right now because of obvious reasons. So why do we exist? In a startup, the most important question is this: why do you exist? Because if you don't ask this question, then people will ask you a question, and then you don't have an answer, then you just fall apart. Our existence is because we are an edtech company, and we found that in India in particular, the gap between the expected learning outcome and the actual learning outcome it grows over time, especially in the public schools. And India has 1 million public schools. So how do we address these gaps? And why do you want to address these gaps? Because if you don't address these gaps, the students drop out after they are done with class 8, which is mandatory education in India. So our mission basically became that we want to build a unified platform that connects students, teachers, parents, and administrators to really focus on the students' learning outcomes on a daily basis and use that data to really take corrective action in time before the damage is done. And using that mission, we built our product called Class Saathi, or it's also called Class Key in Korea. In Korea, we are selling a more lighter version, but we are already present in 1,000+ schools in Korea. In India, we are working on a more detailed or deeper version with Class Saathi. We have the hardware that you see here as a remote control, and we have software both on the computer and on the mobile phone. And Class Saathi, basically what it does is it connects all the stakeholders, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, to really manage the learning outcomes. Because at the end, it's all about feedback loops. Is the student learning? Yes. How fast do you know that? And how fast can you take an action? So all of that is really relevant in creating a product. And that's what we have done with Class Saathi. And again, this is a journey, and we are still building more depth to our product. This is a picture from a school in MP in India, Madhya Pradesh. And there's a small 15 seconds video, which you will see the teacher uses our product to ask questions in the classroom, and the students will respond to that question using this clicker device. It works without internet connectivity in the classrooms. It is very simple, very robust, and it has really helped teachers save their time, help students be more engaged in the classroom. You can see the backbenchers also, they're all engaged now with our product. And after our pilot test, both the state governments in UP and MP, they have given us the permissions to go ahead and deploy in more schools. We are going to work with Ford Foundation in UP government space to deploy our product. For the MP government space, we are still looking for CSR partners. So again, in the audience, if we have companies or folks that want to participate with us, partner with us in this space to bring this to more schools, happy to work with them anytime. Now, that is where our company, that is what our company does. But honestly, if you ask me when I started, the question that I always had was, can I do it? You know, when you start the journey in 2017, can you imagine all these things that I showed you? Nothing. It is an evolving process, right? So to the budding entrepreneurs in the audience or people who are perhaps curious how startups work, trust me, there's nothing in the beginning. There's just a dream, just a bigger vision. And vision also changes over time. Like, it becomes more crisp because you get the ground reality, and it's, uh, it better change because then it becomes more realistic, right? So when I started, of course, because the vision was there, but the questions that I asked myself was not about the vision. It was about something else. For example, I'm a foreigner in Korea. Can I do it? Of course, I spoke Korean that time, but that was not enough. Running a business is a different ball game completely, right? There's so many things, so many paperwork, and there's so many regulations to abide by. How do you do that? Can I do it as a foreigner? My kids go to international school. Can I pay their fees if I'm not getting well paid? Because I was having a high paying job at some, not relatively high, which is okay, but at least enough to cover my kids' expenses. But if I leave a high paying job at Samsung, then can I cover my costs? Is it a good decision or not? So all those questions came to my mind. Why am I doing this? But still, I chose the startup life, right? And here I'm with you right now after in my journey ever since the last 4.5 years. Why did I choose? Why did I choose my startup life? I think number one reason, or I have three reasons right now that I've put here. Number one being, it's just one life, right? We all will go away. We all are mortals, right? And that is such an important uh, criteria in my choices. Like, this is just one life. My question was, so I will I regret having done this when I'm 80 years old? When I'm old, will I regret having done this? Or will I not regret having done this? So my question was, if I don't do it, I will regret. Even if I fail, so what? After 80 years, when I'm 80 years old, will I really regret this? Even if I fail? No. So just do it. One life, go for it. Number two thought I had was the concept of relative maxima versus absolute maxima. So I realized that, like, there's a famous, one of the professors at Harvard, when I was at the business school, told me that, hey, Pankaj, when we are in a strategy class, he told that we have these local maximas and there's a global maxima. So if, for example, if you are standing at the peak of a mountain, in a mountain range, right, one of the peaks, how do you go from one peak to the higher peak, from this peak one to a higher peak? The only way is to go down and go up, right? So while I was enjoying my job at Samsung, doing a great job, I thought it was my local maximum. And then I took a pay cut. I took more stress in my life, more work hours. And I think I was going down in terms of my sort of whatever I got. But over time, I'm now going up. The company is valued in tens of millions of dollars right now. We have a good team. I feel more empowered, more fulfilled. So right now, I think I'm in my sort of higher maxima. Maybe there is a more higher maxima somewhere around there, but idea is I just felt about it that time. This was my thought process at that point in time. So I just jumped off the cliff and said, okay, let me just go down and see if I can go up or not. And number three was about rebranding myself. Why did I choose a startup life? Because, working at Samsung for 10 years, working on a lot of projects, I'm not saying that you should leave your job. It was just that, is this good enough? Can I do more? So those questions kind of started erupting in my mind. And I thought this is a great way to rebrand myself. Rebranding does not mean just putting better packaging. It's actually making yourself stronger. After my 4.5 years of startup journey, or close to 5 years now, I feel that I'm more courageous. I feel that I've become more mature in my thought process. I think I'm able to take better decisions and be involved in more sort of groups where we talk about more meaningful work, perhaps, or just look at the world in a different way. So that was what I really imagined by rebranding myself. So my startup life reasons were that it's one life, get to the maxima, just unleash the best possible of your life, and again rebrand yourself. That was my sort of one of few reasons why I chose startup life. Now, why Korea, right? Being an Indian, or being a foreigner, if you want to go to your country and perhaps start, because that if you do that, then you actually bring on a level playing field, right? Because you speak the local language and all of that, and you know everything. You have a lot of support system in your network. So why did I choose to do startup in Korea? The first reason is because I was working in Korea already, and Samsung sponsored or invested in my company, and my company became a Korean company to begin with. So I naturally started here, but I could still go back, right, to other countries. In fact, I moved to India, stayed there, and now we are working for the Indian market. At that time, my business was, and even now, I think Korea is very fast, super Palli, right? Palli. So everybody, is like super. The work gets done very, very fast. Like in Samsung, we had a saying that in Samsung everything gets done by yesterday, right? So everything is very, very fast. Again, not necessarily the right way to do it, but it's very fast. And I liked action, so I really wanted to do more in shorter time, and then that was one of the criteria for staying here. Number two, Korea has a great support. If you are aspiring to be an entrepreneur here, I can guide you. I have a team here. We can really share with you what support system is there. But to number one is government has a lot of grants that they give away to startups. Grants for developing product, grants for commercialization, grants for marketing, grants for hiring new people. And even if you hire like youngsters, then you get certain grants as well. So a lot of support system is there, not only in the grants section, but also we have communities here. We have accelerators here who give you mentorship, where you can meet other folks and talk about things. The only challenge perhaps in the Korean ecosystem is the talent. We don't have that much talent here, both the development talent or R&D talent and the marketing talent. And if they are there, they're very expensive. So being an Indian, I kind of enjoy both sides. I can really get great talent, which I really want to hire in Korea. Of course, at an expensive price perhaps, but get more support from. So that is really going on well. But I mean, the great support system to guide startup. Part of, think of a startup. In fact, if you go to university for hiring, perhaps you will see that a lot of students these days prefer a startup because they feel that is where the real match is. And government has created processes to motivate, to inspire the students as well to pursue startups rather than joining a big company. And I think the third reason for why I chose to start like this, why I chose Korea, is because I really want. I'm very happy when I'm working hard. So my willingness to work hard is perhaps, and I saw people here working very, very hard. So wanted to stay here, and this culture is great. Things are very processed, very sort of organized. It makes it easy for me to work hard and get things done. So my reasons were basically why Korea and fast. It is a whole system there and willingness to work hard. My typical day or week or a month or an hour for that matter is something like this. Every day, a lot of sort of up and downs, roller coaster. This is, and then suddenly you see a competitor somewhere. How will I address that competition? Suddenly you get a call from an investor looking at investing in us. Then you're excited and they say, the valuation becomes an issue. So again, you go down. So a lot of things back and forth, it happens. And so this is, again, not a sort of fictional thing. It is real. I go through these sort of bumps every day, up and down. But the way I try to manage is just kind of, do meditation or make sure that I exercise every day, run every day for 30 minutes or so, and do yoga twice a week. And, just spend some time with people who make it easy for me, to get my day along. So this is what I have presented today for what I prepared today from a presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I just think that, while if I can, then anybody can. So I really urge all the entrepreneurs here, if they are listening to me, to start with a vision, a dream, a problem that they want to solve, and just go ahead. And in the journey, you will meet people who will become your best buddies, your team members, your supporters. There are so many people whom I know who are not at TagHive, but outside TagHive, but they are my sort of bigger family of TagHive because they've been helping me to achieve my vision and really, always rooting for us that, hey, you will do great, you will do great. So that is when I will pause. And if you have any questions, or of course, you can ask me right now. Later on, you can feel free to shoot me an email at pankaj@taghive.com. And happy to answer any questions right now. I'll stop sharing my screen so that I see you well. And then Jan, Ashutosh, any questions if anybody has in the audience, happy to take them.
Pankaj, can I ask a
Yes.
question to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Pankaj, first of all, great presentation. I mean, it's something different for a from an executive from a brick and mortar company, right? I come from aluminum company, manufacturing, typical manufacturing, and I think about it. Oh wow, it's so different, so exciting of the life about it, right? The question I wanted to ask you is that I was young and I had a couple of ideas, but what I didn't have was the courage to leave the job, right? So who is the support system, or what are the triggers that made you to take that decision and I got the courage to go in and jump into this, startup and become an entrepreneur?
Great question for us. I think honestly, I felt it was easier for me because Samsung supported us in the early days, and it's tough. This is a great question, and that is where the question comes: should I do it or not? Do I want to do it or not? The next question is how do I do it? Is the next question where the courage piece comes. But the most important thing is why should I be doing this? What problem am I solving? Will I be happy? For example, if my kid is diagnosed with a particular condition, medical condition, I really want to solve for that, right?
Yeah.
Come what may. So do you connect with the problem at that? Because it's going to be very tough. Even if you have money for 2 years, 3 years, it's not enough because startups generally take 5, 6, 10 years to really come out well. And what we hear in the news about Zomato or Paytm or all these companies, trust me, it is not like that. It's not so rosy. There's a lot of work that goes inside. And so why I'm saying this is because if you don't have that passion about that purpose, then we will lose our way. We'll just come back. There's no point in even starting them. So the question is, do I really connect with the idea? Do I really want to do this? And then you jump. And of course, you start tweaking your ideas. You look at other avenues. You pivot also at times to come to a different idea. So all that happens. But it's tough, Sachin. I think very few people do it. And success rate is also so low, right? 3% of startups actually succeed. They say that 25% of the startups perhaps go to year 5 or less. So all these things I think metrics are for people who do analysis, not for people who do startups, right? If you believe in startup, just do it.
Yes, sir.
Pankaj, Vikram here.
Yes, sir. Hi, Vikram.
Hey, how are you? So I have one question which I feel maybe you can give me some answer. How important is the network in terms of the startup? Does a person who's starting up needs a powerful in terms of funding or for propagating his business? So what does network, social network or your personal network in startup?
I think network there's a famous saying that your network is your net worth, right? So at the fundamental level, network is very essential no matter what you do. So that is so fundamental for whatever. Like for example, even when we are doing the development work, you don't do all of it. When you are doing marketing work, you don't do all of it. When you are looking for partners, you don't do all of it. You rely on people. As I told you earlier, that even at TagHive, we have been lucky to have people around us who are not directly our company people, but outside the company sort of boundary, but helping us all the time. Why? Because they connect with our mission. They could not do this. They want to do this problem, but they cannot because they are working in their job. So they say, okay, I'll push for this. I'll help you, right? So I would say if you really want to form a network or get the most out of it, I think you should connect with people who connect with your purpose. That really helps you get the most out of the network. Otherwise, it's always good to know people because people know people and things happen.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks.
Mr. Pankaj.
Yes, Ashok.
Yeah, can I ask a question? I'm Ashok. Yeah, actually, as you have presented your presentation till the journey so far you have done, it's very good. And at present, yeah, I am also representing a company who is doing manufacturing of cranes, the sport handling, container handling cranes. You see that in 2020 the business has gone down. Port business is nothing now, and my CEO is planned to do some cosmetic startup. We have started it up in 2020. Now, as you shown your graph, at present I am in that graph. At one point, I've got stuck. Okay, to raise up, yeah, we need some support like better entrepreneurs to share their ideas how to rise our brand, because we have launched our brand in Korea. I'm residing in Korea, and last week we launched our brand in Singapore, and we are going to launch our brand in India soon. And we took patent rights for all our products. The main thing is, as we are hearing that some startup has got fund this much, some startup has got fund this much every day in very everyday news. But as you said, it is not actually, it is not that much true, because we are also trying a lot. We don't need funding. We need people who are really interested to invest that kind of business. To find that kind of people, what is the best source we can find? And in future, if you want to do any trading, because we are also into trading from in between in India and Korea, there are good trade conditions and terms. As you said, we also studied that. And in future, what kind of support we can expect from Indian government and Korean government to collaborate the relationship between companies in India and Korea?
Okay, thank you. I think I'm just getting this poor network on my side. By the way, can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yes,
Some
yes.
you break,
Yeah.
but most of the
We
time
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you. Oh,
What
okay.
I'll do is I'll go to a different network. Just give me a few seconds. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll go to a different network. Yep, this is better perhaps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question was, Sachin, can you rephrase the question for me? Or Ashutosh?
The- Ashok has
Yeah.
asked the question.
Is there,
Yeah.
what are the possibilities in future so that Korean government and Indian government could help the startups to establish the relationship between the Indian companies and Korean companies? For example, we are having CNC manufacturing unit in Mysore, and my friend is taking care of it. If you want to do some sort of tie-ups, because to reduce the cost in Korea, because in Korea manufacturing cost is higher than India, we are also using German machines and all there, not China machines and all. So like that, what kind of, because there is a gap between these industries, how to bridge that gap? How,
Okay.
what is the best way?
See, I think again, luckily things have opened up. Information flows very fast. There's nothing like somebody who has more information will enjoy the arbitrage for a longer time, right? So I think luckily so much of information about companies in Korea and in India available these days. I think we should not depend on the government per se to unlock those partnerships. You go ahead and you do things. There have been many examples of partnerships with different setups. So nothing should stop you, I think. But if you depend on the government to help you source those things, it will never happen, right? You want to do a partnership with a company in Cochin, right? For example, you just go to Cochin and do your job, right? Nobody will bother you. And of course, there are some regulations that we need to abide by. Again, those things are also getting smoother every day. And luckily, Korea and India have great relationship. That already there are a lot of historical elements as well. We get and they get along well. Again, with the COVID on, not much dialogue has been happening in person. But we had before COVID a lot of events where both the countries met each other, right, at the higher level. So luckily we are in a space of in that sort of geography right now. So that sort of warmth is there. So if there is a help that is required on either sides, they'll help you. Assume that and just go in, right? You should not depend on the government to unlock. You have to do it yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Right. अनिल जी आप म्यूट पे हैं शायद.
Yeah, hi, Anil Sinha this side. What I see that most of the startups are coming in service sector. What is your insight that some product innovation or in manufacturing sector, the startups start coming in and this manufacturing or the innovation sector is revived? What need to be done? Because I think from the big company point of view, we can nurture many of them, and then we can have more patent and the products coming up. What is your insight on that?
Yeah. So what I realized, I worked at
Because
Samsung.
I want to look into what goes into the mind of a startup guy. Why you get attracted to a service sector? Is it because you can think that the success come early or success come easily? What
Okay.
goes into a startup guy's mind that they are
I
not
think
putting their hand into product innovation or in manufacturing sector?
I think product innovation may, there are, of course, there are people everywhere, but majority is not there, right? That you're right. And that is because I think it's what you're able to do. If I want to build, say, a lighter aluminum product, I cannot do that because I don't have, and I would need a lot of support. And there are companies, bigger companies who they have their own captive teams. They would have their own teams who would do that. Now, as for the startup, the key
No,
metric
just
here
to
is,
interrupt, it is not a issue of a big company or a small company.
Mhm.
It's a issue of great idea and a creative mind. This is what I look at it as an individual.
Okay, fair
So
enough. I
since
take it.
since you are a startup guy and very successful startup guy, what goes into your mind?
So see, because see, a startup starts from scratch generally, right?
Yes.
There's nothing there. So you and you always want validation of your idea. You always want to see how your product is working. So the way it is organized, everybody has access, almost everybody, and software is very easy. I mean, you want to design for the world, not for one country, basically. That is what the people, for people, that's why people choose to go with the software space, service space, because it's easy to deliver for the entire world, or
Hmm.
deliver to the entire world. For example, I make an application where any student can come and practice questions. It is very, getting the market is, for me, building the product is easy also, and then getting it out in the market is also easy. There are very few regulations on service delivery. On the product side, there is a lot of certifications required, a lot of it is slow in nature.
So
That's why I think.
is it a early success or quick delivery, less manpower? What is the winning thing, or how do, as a startup guy, you come to a conclusion? Because you are an engineer, you have got MBA, you worked in service sector. So why not put your hand into some become next Steve Jobs? Why you did not invented another laptop? Why you invented TagHive?
So I think again, Steve Jobs or any, I mean, those were the days when people built the hardware. But
Hmm.
soft nowadays, I think it's much easier. The friction or that sort of toll to build a product is much. You would hear in the startup world that even in startup world we have companies that build hardware, Anilji, and build
Yes.
software.
So what is that?
There are a lot of hard companies that build, for example, even we have this hardware product, right? We build the hardware as well, right?
Hmm.
But this is our remote control, the clickers that we call them. What we found is, I'll tell you from my experience, that because of this, while the hardware is useful to us to give a great experience to the end user, it also limits our scale, because I need to ship this. It needs to be there physically, and there is a maintenance kind of support required after I do. So as a resource to deploy to really provide that amazing customer experience to the end user, and how much can I do? How many users can I do? But with the software right now, if you download class Saathi application on Android phone, there are 300,000 people who have downloaded the app today, more than that. And there are around 15,000 questions that are getting solved every day without me having to do a single thing. I don't have to follow up. I just need to keep on making my product better. So that way it becomes super easy, and it is one time build and everyday use. But this one, hardware is hardware. You build it. If I want to make a design change here, it takes me at least 6 months for the next iteration to come. So, and the startup is all about speed. How many users did you get onboarded? What is the potential value of these users? Will they buy? In our application class, Sati, we also have this coin feature. Now people are actually buying products on our app without me having to do much marketing. Of course, we do small limited digital marketing, but I think that is the trend going forward. Because hardware is, again, it's good to have, but it limits the growth to some extent. So best is, basically you do what you are good at, what you feel that there is a value for, and just push for that. And whether we need to build the hardware or software, that is very complex, then very sort of an additional question to ask. It's all about the market, and also If you survive, that means you're doing something that people want. So in Y Combinator,
Let me explain. Actually, I'm mentoring a company in UK which is making the electric drive for the premium sports vehicle like
Great.
Porsche, Mercedes AMG and all. So from the University of Cambridge, I have been selected as a mentor to mentor that group.
Great.
And we are developing a hardware electric drive for the premium automotive company. Means
Nice.
Maserati and Porsche, Mercedes AMG and all. So this is what my background was for asking this question. How does your mind work? Where you are looking at, how much as an entrepreneur or a startup guy, how much you are ready to struggle. Because a startup is also what you explained, very simple word. It is about sustenance. Good startup
Sustenance.
comes only after 5 years. This
Correct.
is a very, very important statement because most of the people whom I talk to, whether in software and hardware, they were looking for a success in 2 to 3 years time. And my advice was, look, nothing happens in 2 to 3 years. So they were very disappointed with my answer or advice. That here is this guy, old guy who is just trying to discourage me. But this is how the life is all about.
Yeah, I think there are examples like Instagram, 18 months, WhatsApp,
Yeah,
all these companies are there. But I always tell them those are not those are miracles. And
yeah.
miracles generally you don't look for miracles.
Happen
Miracles
once
look
in
for
a
you.
while.
No, I always put it this way: you don't look for miracles. Miracles look for you. So it will happen to you, but you cannot make it happen. So again, to your question, I think if you're mentoring to those people who are in that space, I think now I see the context here more. So these people are from the university, right? And they are in a lab that is
Yeah.
building. They are in a lab that is working on electric drives, right?
Yeah, we have
So
formed a company
correct.
and
So
we have taken a 5 year horizon. That 2 year we develop the product and next 3 year we make it into a manufacturing company.
So उसमें क्या what happens there is because it's a university, there must be grants. There must be companies like Porsche who are already giving money to deploy those resources, and these are anyway PhD students who want to complete their PhD,
Yes.
right? So that is why it is possible, and that is why that is why those things happen in universities only, because it is more time taking. As if I'm not Elon Musk, I will not do that. Very few people like Elon Musk who will make a space company where there's a hardware required, right? So I think it's all case by case. But you're right, the service part is more often seen because it is easy relatively, and because there are less less dependent factors to make it happen. That's why I think it's super easy. I don't need to know about electric cars. If I want to build a faster car, I need to know so much more. I need to have more space. I need to do whatever I can to make it happen. And I think that is why we don't see that happening
Thank you.
in the hardware space. Thank you so much. We should talk more later on, Anilji.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Any other questions, please?
Pankaj, hi.
Hi, Ayanka.
Do you think it's risky to maintain or promote your current products, or are you planning to develop new products or any items in the future?
Of course, we continuously building. We have teams who are continuously building new features on top of what we already have, and of course, we get requests from other countries also to bring our product to those countries. So we keep on doing this, juggling multiple opportunities. So all that is happening, and that is how you expand the team, right? I was one person initially, perhaps, and then I started with the second person or the third person. The need happens. Okay, I'm doing so much. I need some help. So you get one more person. Oh, I'm doing digital marketing. I was to post on Facebook myself initially on our channel, and now I've not seen my Facebook channel for last say 6 months. I don't know. So you don't see that, right? Now you basically, so over time you start building team, and the teams take care of things. So of course, a lot of innovation is going on. A lot of work is happening on improving the delivery. So at the end, we want to save time for the teachers to teach. We want to save time for students when they want to revise the concepts. We want to save time for the administrators who are inspecting the schools by giving them the right data, by giving them actionable sort of approaches on what they can do to improve the students' learning level on a day. So that is more important. The key job to be done is more important, and the how is always, it keeps on changing. You want to make it better. So WhatsApp, what does it do? It connects people over messaging, and they will keep on introducing new features. And the best features are those which are not even seen, which you just feel. It's like fast. They have this sort of new things where things just happen like that. So that is what we are doing every day. Making the product is easy, honestly, but it's building it for masses, building it for in a way that is low cost. That takes time.
Mhm. Then right now, currently you are facing any difficulties or challenges right now? Anything?
Should I show you my list, Mr. Yang?
Okay.
There are a lot of challenges all the time. One thing I have learned is to be happy even if I have challenges. That is what startups teach me now. I think there's so many challenges that you just say, okay, let it be. And you watch videos of Amitabh Bachchan struggling in his times. You watch videos of Sadhguru to keep you on ground, sort of grounded to your life and all of that. But there are a lot of challenges. For example, you ask questions about what more can we do, which more countries can we go. People suddenly they'll say, "Hey, Pankaj, I'm planning to move on." Somebody will say, "You know what? I did this job, but I could not." A lot of people challenges. Then there's a investor pushing you hard to achieve more. Then you have your own personal challenges, things that you want to do in your life, but you ask, how long can I do? For how long more should I be doing this? Is it my life? A lot of, as I told you, I showed you the graph. A lot of sort of ups and downs happen. But I try to sleep well at night. Generally, I try to exercise every day. I try to make sure that those pieces, because that is the fundamental, right? If I'm not well, then the work will not be well.
Hmm.
But everybody has challenge. I mean, everybody is struggling a battle that nobody is aware of.
Yeah.
Everybody is fighting a
Thank you.
no, pleasure.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Sanchita.
Yes, so this is Sanchita. Actually, I'm not in the startup world yet, but I'm working as a marketing, like I'm doing marketing for companies, and I'm actually project assistant who is working for
Okay, I
you.
know that. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, it was really inspirational for me. Like the entire presentation was really inspirational. And I have been studying Korean for 1.5 years now. And I also manage a Korean community. We have many Korean teachers. But the thing is that I'm not able to, find a direction. So I'm taking things slow. And I'm currently doing marketing because that's what I'm learning. And maybe someday I would like to come to Korea and then establish
Sure.
something, like a company.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it was really
people.
nice to hear you. Yeah.
No, thank you. I think you talked about not having direction, Sanchita. In the audience
Yes.
today, I think 90% of the people, including myself, don't have direction. It is very difficult question. We assume that we have direction, but it takes time to really shape up
Yeah.
or think about things. It is very difficult to find a good direction or think about it. So the
Yes.
first, I think, idea or first approach to finding a good direction is to admit that it is okay not to have direction, or I'm not
Yes.
having it, and then you start working on that, right? I asked once when I was at Samsung, I asked the Samsung CEO that, I'm just like this, like the way you asked me, that I'm so tired, so tired. I don't know what am I doing. I'm 36 years old, this and that. And then he said, I don't know what I'm doing. He said, I also don't know what I'm doing. I also don't know what my direction is going to be. So it's very common for everybody to that
Yes.
in different cycles of different phases of life to feel that way. So nothing wrong about it. Just be confident about your skills and just keep on growing. That's what matters.
So I just have one vision because I love Korea so much and also the people. So I just have one vision in mind and then I'm just going forward, like it's taking a lot of time, but just one step at a time. And I found really good people. Korean people are really, they're very kind to us and they've been sharing their culture and language with us. So we are like
Absolutely.
strangers, but still they are like, I'm in India and they're in Korea, but still we have developed a really good relationship. And as you said, that
Awesome.
there are many people who help you build a company, not just they don't have to be a part of your company, but they are supporting you, right? So I found really
Absolutely.
good people like that. Yeah.
No, good.
Thank you so much.
In Hindi there's a saying, "Aap achhe to jag acha." So if you are nice, that the world is nice for you, right? So
Yes.
yeah. Any more questions? I think we have 10 more minutes or so left. Happy to take any. You can ask me questions in Hangul. If you have any questions in Korean, feel free to ask. There's a question on the chat box. How did I constitute my team? Again, one by one, it is very organic. As I told you that, you look for support the moment you feel the need. You start with one developer, for example, and then the other developer will say, "Oh, I need more hands." So you find another developer, and then it keeps on going that way. Also, likewise for different functions, it just grows. I mean, for a nationality, again, I think world is one. Honestly, don't care about that. And depending on where I find people, right now we have people, of course, only from Korea and India, because that is easy to find people that way. But again, never criteria to select people. It's just that the way it's organized. Just one by one, very, very, very slow. I'm not like hiring 10 people at once. I can never do that. In fact, even before hiring one person, what I do is for key people that I hire, I actually work with them for 3 months to 4 months on a small assignment, and then bring them on board, because it becomes much easier to work that way. Because in the startups, if people leave your company suddenly, then the culture, the sort of momentum of the company gets affected to some extent. So we want to make sure that we don't have that kind of moments. Not too many. Of course, there are few here and there.
Hello, Pankaj.
Anyashmika.
Pankaj, can you hear me? This is Adam.
Yes, Adam, I can hear you.
Yeah, thanks for your time and the presentation. My question seems to be silly. I want to know, when you decided to start a company by your own, you must decided to have a backup financially, at least for some period of time, right? For example, 1 year, 2 year, and like, how long do you plan for that? And I want to ask, like, how much the government, I mean, the funding from Samsung that you mentioned, or any other funding, how much they supported in the beginning, actually?
Okay. So of course I drew an Excel sheet. I never did in my life before that, So you draw an Excel sheet and you put all the expense items and you say, "Oh, this is how much I'm spending every year," right? And this is how much I have. So Samsung, of course, made it easy because they gave us a grant. They gave us the small funding for the company, and there was a severance package that I got. So all that really helped me get the initial padding. So my initial idea was I'll do it for 3 years.
Okay.
3 years. That was my initial idea. And then as you move forward, you have investors who join you, and you start getting more resources. So that is how it has happened to me. And still, I don't know how long will I do. Sometimes you think, "Oh, when do I stop?" Actually, it's taxing. It's very tiring at times. And then, it's while your question is right. It's also important to understand when do you stop. What is the exit plan? But it's too difficult to plan too many things. So just go ahead if you want to do. And as I told you again, Adam, it's not about doing the startup. It's about solving a problem. And such a key, such a difference. What is the problem that you're trying to solve here with your company? Because see, if you run a company, if you think that you will make quick money with the startup, it will never happen. Trust me. You will never make money on a startup very fast. It is going to be a money sink. The only pleasure that you would get perhaps by doing all of this is, okay, I'm doing something that I wanted to do. So in fact, to your question, my criteria for choosing to do this startup was, I had 7 criteria actually. One of them being that I wanted to build a product from scratch. I never did that at Samsung, because Samsung is a big company. You get to do a particular work in your team. But I wanted to build something from scratch, from imagination to reality. That is what I wanted to do, and I did that. I'm super happy for that experience. So I think even if you don't want to solve a problem at a world level, think about, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want to build a product from scratch. That experience from idea to final commercialization is was important to me, but that is now over. So basically those are the questions to ask. Financially, again, it's a challenge. Everybody has their own context. because at the end you are not only putting your money but also your time, and time is more money you will always earn, time you cannot earn, right? So that is where the real challenge is. So why am I doing this? How long more should I be doing it? And because you can always pull the plug, right? Hey, I'll stop, I'll not do. So those elements are very important, I think. And again, it all comes back to the same point. Why am I doing this? Purpose. Okay. I hope that helps, Adam.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'm working as a data scientist in Seoul. I'm in Korea for 6 years. I'm planning to build a product which is,
Yeah.
which is from AI, which is contributing to the FMCG industry actually.
Awesome.
So even I was thinking like how to, that what I'm saying is your presentation helps me to direct in some way, like how to start, because even I'm in a doubt like whether I could start and how long. I was thinking I was the backup as an individual. As you know, I have a small family. I'm 30, just 30, but I'm thinking like whether I take this risk by quitting my job right now. So these kind of thoughts, but it helps me. Yeah.
But Adam, what you can do is, these days it's super easy. Korea has 40 hours work limit, and an amazing thing, right?
Yes,
Use
yes,
that.
yes.
Work in the evenings for your company, right? And as long as it's not conflicting with the company's work, just use your time, free time, to build the product at your own level and get some validation from the market. And then you jump in. You don't jump in without any readiness, then you will be in trouble, right? For example, if you're an idea on data scientist, data sort of science stuff, then you do something, you build something, and then you scratch the sort of, you see how people perceive the idea, and then if they see value, then you say, okay, I'll get started. So basically, what in your case, it's easier because you can do that, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Any more questions?
That helps me. Thanks, man. Yeah.
No, thanks, Adam. Best of luck.
One is in chat box from Mr. An.
Or when you got the funding from Samsung, were you ready with the final product already? Was it so we were working in the toy space initially. We had a toy idea which was ready, more so as a prototype, and of course we had to manufacture at large scale. But what happened was we changed the idea over time because we found that there were customers who were not there for that idea. So in fact, as I told you, you'll pivot. You will change your idea once you are out of the company. This will happen a lot. So we did that also. But what happened, the experience that I got at Samsung was helpful to go through the process of creating a product and use the same experience to build my new product again. And in the process of building the previous product, build the team. That was helpful. We got together along well, and then a lot of, it was easy to build a second product, which we. I hope that is helpful.
Hello, I actually have a question. If there
Yes.
is not, yeah. Are we on the time limit? Because then I can just email it to you.
No, you can. I think we can go a little bit, 5 or 6 minutes. I'm happy to be here till 2:15, 3:15 actually. So
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
happy to be.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Pankaj. I'm still a master's student, and you said that you have experience from Samsung, working with Samsung. So it was easy for you to transition from with a working environment to starting your own business. As a student who has no work experience, I come across a lot of students who have great ideas. Are there any programs in South Korea that provide, programs like graduate programs or like training programs for startup activities?
Sure.
Or does TagHive have a graduate program that helps students develop ideas, or like how, like you said before, it's a process. So are there any programs that help students in South Korea especially?
Yeah, I think you should ask your university. There are a lot of programs. You should do a lot of research on Google. There are a lot of programs that are there. You can join they call it Yebi Changopcha, which is like, before you, when you start the company, you can join the company, make your own startup and pursue your idea. Also at TagHive, we have internship programs that we provide to students who, and we generally hire from a few universities that we have, done so in the past. EVA University is one of those. We hire students from EVA University every year, 1 or 2 people who join our company as interns. So far, we had 7 interns in the last 4.5 years. I think internship is a great way to learn about startup. In fact, you would learn more about startup culture, startup processes than you would learn in the program. And of course, get paid. So try to look for in companies in a startup sort of space. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Pankaj, probably the last question from my side.
Yes, sir.
You invited from the people from the audience to join TagHive, right? I know there would be some people who would be interested to join TagHive. Are you inviting investors to invest in TagHive too? Are you going to?
So we are.
Yeah.
Question. In fact, we are about to close our next round very soon.
Okay.
So almost there, and of course, we always open to receive investors. So always, it's a running process. So we can always talk about it. And more important is look at let us know if you have any desire.
Sure.
Happy to anytime.
I said this because you talked about the, like in our group level, our group in India is very big in CSR. And if the group is interested in this product, we'll probably offer an investment in a startup company, right? If you're open with the idea, I could probably take it forward from there and I can explore it.
Please do that. If you have that opportunity, I would open a round for that.
Good. Okay.
So let me know. I'm happy to, because we're looking for partnerships all the time, and it's going to be very useful partnership. So happy to actually open a round if there is a invitation at that level.
Okay, good.
But thank you for saying that, Sachin. I think it really means a lot to us.
Yeah.
So I think what I'll do is just one more last. And this startup is all about serendipity. Things happen to you, honestly. Just like who knows what the comment that Sachin made right now becomes a reality, and then it all started with a webinar series, or I was here and that happened and that happened and that happened and that happened, right? So for that to happen, you need this to happen. So please get started if you really want to. Things will happen. I really wish you all the best. I think there are perhaps no more questions. We can.
Yeah. It looks like we have covered all our questions. So, so Pankaj, is there anything else you want to cover before we do a wrap up?
I think thank you so much. The audience has been very kind in asking easy questions, meaningful questions. So thank you for being so attentive, and I wish you all the best. And thank you for supporting us. We are, as I told, we always believe that we are all mortals. I always go with that belief in my mind, and whatever time we have limited on this earth, let us just make the most of it. And but at the same time, not make mistakes, right? Which can be gross. Be very watchful of those points, and just move on. I think what will happen at the end, right? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's okay. So just go with that conviction, and things will happen to you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Thanks again for joining us today. We still see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.